Rain lashed against the windows of Marcus Voss's office. A haggard file sat on his desk, marked Top Secret. Voss, a seasoned FBI agent, had seen his share of darkness, but this case felt different. It clung to him like a shroud, whispering of conspiracies that ran deeper than he could imagine. The case involved the disappearance of a prominent scientist, Dr. Eleanor Reynolds. She had vanished without a trace, leaving behind whispers of a groundbreaking invention and a trail of cryptic clues. Voss felt a knot of apprehension tighten in his gut. This was no ordinary disappearance. He picked up a photograph of Dr. Reynolds, her eyes filled with an intelligence that both intrigued and unsettled him. Her disappearance had sent shockwaves through the intelligence community. The CIA was already circling, their interest piqued by whispers of Dr. Reynolds' work. Voss knew this case would test him like never before, pushing him to the very edge of his abilities and forcing him to confront the shadows that lurked beneath the surface of power. The CIA had dispatched their own agent to work the case, Lena Ashcroft. Voss had only seen her file, her cool blue eyes staring back at him with an unnerving intensity. She was a ghost, a whisper in the corridors of Langley, her reputation preceding her. Brilliant, ruthless, and utterly loyal to the agency, she was as much a threat as an ally. Voss knew their paths would inevitably collide. The case was too sensitive, the stakes too high. Ashcroft's involvement meant that the CIA had a vested interest in Dr. Reynolds' disappearance, and Voss suspected they were playing a deeper game than they were letting on. He had to tread carefully. Ashcroft was not someone to be underestimated.
Agent Voss, I presume. I hope you're ready for what lies ahead.
Their first encounter was a clash of wills. Ashcroft exuded an aura of effortless confidence, her words measured, her gaze unwavering. Voss, used to the rough-and-tumble world of the FBI, found her aloofness unnerving. He could sense a hidden agenda behind her every move. They circled each other like predators, each wary of the other's strengths, each vying for control of the investigation. Director Elias Garrick, Voss's mentor, and the closest thing he had to a father, watched the unfolding case with a mixture of concern and grim satisfaction. Garrick had seen the darkness in the world, the way power could corrupt even the most well-intentioned souls. He had warned Voss about the dangers of getting too close to the fire, but he also knew that Voss had a fire in his belly, a relentless pursuit of justice that couldn't be extinguished.
This case will test you, Marcus. It will force you to question everything you think you know.
Voss, at the time, had brushed off his mentor's concerns. He was confident in his abilities, certain that he could handle whatever the case threw at him. But as he delved deeper into the mystery of Dr. Reynolds' disappearance, he began to understand the gravity of Garrick's words. The lines between right and wrong were blurring, and Voss found himself questioning his own instincts. He needed Garrick's guidance now more than ever, but the old man seemed to be holding back, his eyes clouded with a knowledge that Voss couldn't quite decipher. At the heart of the conspiracy stood CIA Deputy Director Kenner Blake, a man whose very name inspired fear and loathing in equal measure. Blake was a master manipulator, a puppet master who pulled the strings from the shadows. He believed in order through control, in sacrificing individual liberties for the sake of national security. Voss knew that Blake was somehow involved in Dr. Reynolds' disappearance. The scientist's work had the potential to disrupt the balance of power, and Blake was not a man who tolerated disruption. But Voss had no proof, no tangible link connecting Blake to the crime. He was a phantom, operating through layers of bureaucracy and plausible deniability. Every lead Voss followed seemed to dead end at Blake's doorstep, every witness intimidated into silence. The man was a fortress, his secrets protected by an army of loyal followers. Voss knew that taking down Blake would be like trying to catch smoke.
National security is not a game, Agent Voss, remember that.
Blake's words echoed in Voss's mind, a chilling reminder of the stakes involved. The hunt for Dr. Reynolds was just beginning, and the shadows were closing in.
Transitioning from code to chaos.
Jill Monroe, a brilliant but untested tech analyst for the FBI, found herself thrust into the heart of the conspiracy. Accustomed to the safety of her computer screen, she was, well, ill-prepared for the brutal realities of fieldwork.
I had spent countless hours analyzing data, tracing digital footprints, and building profiles of potential suspects. But I had never faced the raw danger of the real world.
Her initial forays into the field were marked by fear and uncertainty. She was out of her element, a digital warrior thrown into a world of shadows and whispers.
But as the case progressed, I began to find my footing. I discovered a hidden strength within myself, a fierce determination to see justice served.
Voss, recognizing her potential, took her under his wing. He saw in her a kindred spirit, someone who refused to be defined by their fears.
Under his tutelage, I blossomed. My analytical skills proved invaluable to the investigation.
She became Voss's eyes and ears, navigating the digital world with a speed and proficiency that left even seasoned agents in awe. As Voss and Ashcroft delved deeper into the case, they uncovered a web of deceit that stretched far beyond the disappearance of a single scientist. They found themselves caught in a dangerous game of cat and mouse, unsure who to trust. Every revelation brought more questions, every answer leading to a dead end. The weight of their investigation, the constant pressure of uncovering the truth began to take its toll. Trust eroded, replaced by suspicion and doubt. The line between ally and enemy blurred, leaving Voss and Ashcroft questioning their own allegiances. The stakes had never been higher. Just when Voss thought he had caught a break, a whisper of a lead that could blow the case wide open, he discovered the unthinkable. A mole within the FBI, someone close to him, betraying him at every turn. The revelation shook him to his core. He had staked his life on his instincts, on his ability to read people, and he had been wrong. With the lines between friend and foe blurred beyond recognition, Voss and Ashcroft found themselves thrust together, their mutual distrust replaced by a fragile alliance. They were both pawns in a game they didn't fully understand, manipulated by unseen forces. Their only hope was to pool their resources, their unique skills, and fight back against the unseen hand that was pulling the strings. The alliance was uneasy at best. Years of ingrained rivalry and suspicion didn't simply vanish overnight. Each guarded their secrets closely, wary of revealing too much, yet knowing that their survival depended on a certain level of trust. Despite their differences, they were bound by a common enemy, and a shared desire for the truth. They were both patriots ultimately, who had sworn to protect their country from its enemies, both foreign and domestic.
We may not trust each other, Voss, but we have to work together. It's the only way we'll get through this. We can't let them win. Not now, not ever. This is it, Voss. We either end this now, or we lose everything we fought for. The final confrontation took place in the dead of night in a deserted warehouse on the outskirts of the city. The air crackled with tension, the silence broken only by the distant rumble of thunder. This was the culmination of weeks of investigation, of sleepless nights and relentless pursuit. Voss, Ashcroft and Garrick stood together, a united front against the forces that sought to undermine the very fabric of their nation. They were outmanned, outgunned, but not outmatched. They had truth on their side, and the unwavering belief that justice would prevail. A tense standoff ensued, words exchanged like bullets. In the end, it wasn't about firepower or superior tactics. It was about courage, about standing up for what was right, even when the odds were stacked against them. And in that moment, when all hope seemed lost, they found the strength to fight back, to expose the conspiracy and bring the perpetrators to justice.
In the aftermath, as the dust settled and the sirens faded into the distance, a sense of unease lingered in the air. The conspiracy had been exposed, its architects brought to justice, but at what cost? The scars of betrayal ran deep, a constant reminder of the fragility of trust, and in the shadows, a sense of unease remained. The fight was far from over. The world they operated in was one of shadows and whispers, where the lines between right and wrong were constantly shifting. They had won a battle, but the war was far from over. There were still those who operated in the darkness who believed that the ends justified the means. Voss, Ashcroft and Garrick knew that their work was far from done. They had glimpsed the darkness that lurked beneath the surface, and they were forever changed by what they had seen.
We've won today, but the battle is far from over.
We have to stay vigilant. The shadows are always there waiting.
They had won, but at what cost?